Alright, this is an idea I've actually been toying around with for a while of doing a video about. I wanted to do somewhat of a damage comparison, just showing all the skills that we have and, what the damage of each one ultimately does. Um, the only thing I would say is, mind you, that some things are going to be a little bit different for you depending on whether you have all your talents maxed out like I do, because a max talent for your Bloodthirsty is going to increase the damage of that a lot. Also, whether you have this passive down here, level 3 increases your crit damage by 10%. So that might throw things off, especially when I get to my second page to do... Oh no, I do have it there as well. I thought I didn't have that yet, but okay, so that's good. When I start showing the damage for these skills down here. So what I'll do is I'll start off just with my very basic attacks here. And just for show, I will also... My Chaos Rune does 100% damage, which should be the same as Arrow Strike. Okay, and where I'll do this is Sky Trail. So we'll start off with Arrow Strike, since Arrow Strike is just your basic attack, 100%. This should be the basis for which all the other percentages are taken from. But knowing this game, who knows? About 60,000. It's a little bit low, but that's a Electro Mob. But this is just for comparison. Do that a few times. 67,000. $75,000. Okay, so between 60 to 75,000, that's kind of a big range there. 66,000. 72,000. I'll throw in a Chaos Rune next. So it is the same, as you can see, the same damage. Chaos Rune is a good one just to throw in a little bit of extra damage in between hits if you time it correctly. So I think I'm averaging around 65,000. Probably a little bit higher than that, but the low end was 62,000, high end was 75,000. Probably average of about 68,000 then, 67, 68,000. Okay, so now we'll go with multi-shot. 55%. Damage boost of 25%. I did 48 and 45. So almost 95,000 damage. $98,000 there. Bloodthirsty is 120%, but also there's the 106,000, so it did more than multi-shot and Arrow Strike, of course. But I also do have my talents capped in that. So we're looking at around 95,000 for multi-shot. Now Lunatic Fire is 134%. So around 34,000 times 3. So it did around 100,000, maybe a little bit more. But you have to also look at rage consumption. Multi-shot does, gives you rage back, whereas Lunatic Fire eats quite a bit of rage. Here's Delphic is 320%. So it did about 4 times the damage of Arrow Strike, which doesn't really make sense if it's only 320%. But Arrow Strike doesn't have a damage boost. So let's try some of these without using the damage boost, the QTE. Uh, 83,000. So around 68,000 average for Arrow Strike. That was about 80,000 again for multi-hit. $77,000, so about 80,000 again. It was about the same. Big difference there, 205,000. That was on the low end, of course. And just under 80,000. $230,000. So 230,000 off of a 230% hit. Just by looking at that, you can tell that Sylph stats are your stats plus the stats of the Sylph. Let's go change some of these skills out now. Okay, so here's the Delphic Death Star, 202% for 100 rage. That did about 132,000 damage. A little more than twice the damage of 2 arrow strikes. Less than 2 multi-shots. Get my rage back up and use this Delphic Annihilating Fury. So this is what it looks like with full rage. It's pretty good damage right there. 75,000 plus 86 plus I think it was another 80 something. So around 240,000, 250,000 damage, which was actually more than Delphic Sniper, but it used 100 rage. It's the only downside of that thing, is that to get that much damage you have to use your 100 rage for it. Let's try this thing, if I can still get it in before I die. Should have healed. Okay, let's start off with this. $50,000, that was no crit though. I'll use all my rage with Delphic Death Star. And then try this Delphic Annihilating Fury with very low rage just to show damage comparison. $135,000 damage there. Very weak. So there we're looking at around a little over 80,000 damage. And that was very low rage. That's the positive side about that that attack right there, is that you can use no rage on it. I mean, but it does decrease your damage. Hopefully this one will crit this time. 112,000. Yeah, that's not a bad little attack. 45 rage that takes. So if you're looking for high damage, this Soul Hunter's arrow might not actually be a bad one if you're looking for fast damage. If you're looking for more damage over time, that you know you can stay alive, that it's going to be a long fight, but you need to just do a lot of damage over time. Your multi-shot is probably one of your best bets. The Soul Hunter's arrow seemed pretty good for only 45 rage. Your Delphic Sniper, obviously, in my opinion, still the best we've got. 80 rage, but then if you know, most of the time you're going to crit on that, plus get your 10 bonus from your gear. Really only costs you 65. Okay, now let's switch over to secondary skills. So we already know those. That's 220%. That is a good... That one does not crit very well. That is a good area one, though, if you've got a bunch of people with not very much health left, or a bunch of mobs with not very much health left. You throw that in, and that can wipe them out. cursed arrows. This one's really cool looking. I like it. But to compare it to our other area attack, which so that did around 135,000 damage, which I think that was about the same as the other area attack. And this one takes 55 rage. So minus the QTE on it. Of course, Deep Freeze does better damage than Armor Piercer, but once you add the QTE with Armor Piercer, the damage is much better. Plus, if you have the talent that you decrease rage consumption after using multi-hit, you can spam Armor Piercer pretty decently. Okay, now here's the big tester here. Let's see, some people are using Poison Arrow. Let's see what this thing actually does. That was a horrible demonstration. Need to get it with when it crits. But it's losing almost 24,000 health. So 45,000 damage. It's losing 23,000 health for 3 turns. So ultimately it's doing 70,000 drain plus the 45,000. It does around 120,000 damage. And that was with no QTE on it. The duration, QTE adds duration of 1. So there's your 40,000 again. Plus this time it's going to be about almost 130,000, around 170,000 damage for Poison Arrow. That's not actually bad. Not actually that bad at all. I think I've done everything on here. So just to try to cover everything, I might try out this Poison Arrow in some fights, see how that works out. Because I think that it's going to change depending on strength of the enemy. So using that player versus player is obviously going to change, since it is a damage-based drain bleed. So if there are any questions or anything else you want me to see along this line, along the lines of skills or anything, let me know. I, as always, will try my best to help you guys out and answer any questions. Since I get asked this on just about every video, even when I say it, I'll say it again. I'm on Wartune.com, server 153. In case you care to join me or just need to ask some questions or want to talk one-on-one, whatever, feel free. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.